Howdy. See, dig. You know, I haven't seen you around these parts before. Then again, I've never been around these parts before. Guess you could say I'm a bit of a drifter. Never really had a place to call home. Not since I was living with Mama. We moved town to town more often than I can count. She picked up odd jobs here and there. Never quite made enough, but she was all I ever needed. Until one day. God damn it. There was an accident at the meat grinder plant. The blood and the guts. I can still smell it. And I don't know who the poor soul that died was, but that ambulance that went to pick him up ran over my mama 3 times. 3 times! But you wouldn't know about that, would you? You keep thinking death is so far away. Not living your life to the fullest, putting your dreams off until tomorrow. Well, you know what? Tomorrow ain't coming. You see that? That is what I would do to you. 'Cause I hurt people. That is who I am. We watched a movie today!
Dead West!
Yes, but first, Matthew, that opening. Did you get it?
Yes, I did.
Same. Same here. So did I.
On to this movie.
Dead West. Alright. Let me tell you what Netflix is about this movie. This movie is...
Can you even fill up a minute of plot?
Oh! Maybe. This movie for Dead West is on Netflix. It is billed as a modern Western sort of thing. It's a guy who goes around and he's killing these women, but they... Yes,
the modern
some
Western.
reason. Yeah, pretty much. But it's like, you see like the image, it's like a skull and a cowboy hat. You see the little preview teaser image, and it's a dual-wielding guy with a gruff beard and a cowboy hat. None of that. None of that. None of that. This movie is a...
The guy on the thumbnail isn't even really the guy in the movie.
And, like, I don't think he's in the movie, period. But this movie is a... I think we kept on saying noir sort of thing. It was
That's some noir.
It was under thrillers, so...
Then again, so is a lot of movies.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Air Bud is under thriller.
Somehow.
So this movie, the whole shtick is that this guy, this murderer, is looking for his perfect woman. But every woman he seems to come across has something wrong with her. Mainly lying or not following their dreams.
Or being human.
Or being a smoker.
I don't like cigarettes.
To be fair though, she said the not following your dreams part before the cigarette. Anyway,
Fair.
Instead of moving on from these relationships like any normal person, he kills them with a knife, he stabs them, because gun's too quick. You need to savor all those little emotions.
I see what you did, you fucker.
Which is what the movie pretty much did too.
Yeah, absolutely. With a couple different source materials.
The first girl that's killed has a brother, Tony, I believe. And he's all broken up, I think. He's like, I'm going to find him, and I'm going to make him pay. And
I'm going to get vengeance for my sister.
And his friend's like, look, it's just, be safe, okay? I knows I can't stop you, but just be safe. And he's like, I will, I love you. What? Nothing. So we get about an hour into this half-hour movie, and the brother finds the dude. They go out in the middle of the woods.
They exchange some words.
And then the brother dies. And the killer gets away, and that's halfway into this movie.
Yeah.
The remainder of the movie is about him finding the girl of his dreams, named Roxy, going to her former pimp, pretty much, named Suge White.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to him.
We'll get to him.
Suge White, and getting the money that she was owed from him back to her by killing Suge White. Then they're like, Dwayne, I love you. You ever think that even though we've only known each other for 24 hours, you might get married?
23.
You might marry me one day?
Sure.
Great. Cut to that. And he's at the altar and is like, all right, I'm getting married by Elvis, mind you.
I can't do this.
But I love you, Dwayne.
I'm gonna hurt you.
But please. And Elvis comes,
Okay.
and then they get married. They go into a hotel room, spoilers, and then he kills her and drives away,
Smiling.
repeating the same thing, that this is who he is and he can't escape that.
Now, I want to talk
Properly.
very in-depth, just for a moment, about the screenplay.
Go ahead.
This is, as I told David, that it is the biggest problem with this movie.
I wholeheartedly agree.
It rips off so many movies. Alright, let's just list it off. Most notably, it rips off Drive.
Yeah.
It has a huge ripoff of Drive, especially the color palette and the 80s music.
Got a very 80s aesthetic with the color scheme. And
which is fine. Honestly, I don't mind that. You can rip off the aesthetic because also, and there's even a movie that it is entirely influenced off of that they play during the movie, which was the film Maniac. Which, you know...
They went to a drive.
Had Vincent Spinelli. I can't remember.
They went to a drive-through theater or a drive-in theater at some point, and he killed a woman there. And
yeah,
I want to talk about the way that they play all the women the exact same way. But I'm going to hold off on it a second. They went to the theater, and it was a double feature. They were playing Maniac and Vigilante. It's supposed to be subtext on
Joe Spinell. Sorry,
subtext on the fact of, this guy is crazy, but he sees himself as doing it good because he's killing people who don't deserve life, a la Jigsaw.
In other words, Taxi Driver.
Yeah. Okay, so you were saying the screenplay is the biggest problem in ripping off movies.
Because, well, as I was saying to you during the movie a lot, the performances in this movie, the actors, they're not bad.
No.
They're almost able to be good. Two things hold them back. The screenplay, because the words are generic and unbelievably uninspired as fuck.
Yeah.
But two, the direction is awful. These actors don't know what they're reaching for in these scenes because most of the movie is just kind of aimlessly wandering from one scene to the next until a plot kind of shows up in the third act. Yeah. And then we got a white guy acting like a black guy because this guy saw Gary Oldman in True Romance and he's like, I want to do that.
That's Suge White.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, so
it broke me when they said it.
Well, here's the funniest part about that was that they was asking like, "Hey, who has your money?" And it's like, "Oh, my old boyfriend. What's his name?" Suge. Suge what? And then you said Suge Knight.
I said Suge Knight, and she's like Suge White.
And then he paused the movie, walked out of the room, and just broke for a while.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah.
It was great. So I want to talk about how every single girl, save for Roxy, is literally entirely existent in this film.
Let us meet the meat.
They introduce the character, whatever girl it may be. They then say, oh, here's her being charmed by this person.
Somehow.
Here's her giving her entire life's fucking story.
Somehow. Here's
her saying something that really rubs him the wrong way.
Somehow.
And then he kills her.
Via stabbing.
That's always the same.
Yeah. Stab.
That was a running joke.
It's always with like this hunting knife that's like this big.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry. Oh man. And then he has like this whole thing. It's like I don't like guns. And I was like,
I don't like guns. I don't like smoking. I don't like that.
I don't like guns.
I just said that. So yeah,
it rips. See, I think I said something along the lines during the movie is that it is trying so hard to be like the movies it is ripping off. It forgot to be an original story.
Yeah.
It is just like we were basically saying lines before they were occurring.
Oh.
A lot throughout the entire movie when we were paying attention. I mean, there was a couple times where I rewound it, especially considering the fact of when the guy was just like, he's like, "You gonna pull a gun on me? I'm Suge White." looks like he gets like a stroke halfway through. He's like,
God. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead to the very end real quick. I would say if you have to watch this film for any reason, find just that scene. Find a scene where you find like a really big black guy.
The biggest black guy.
And just watch that whole scene. And you'll be like, what the fuck is this? But here's the weirdest part. If you watch that scene in the context of the rest of the movie, you'll still be like, what the fuck is this? Because it's out of nowhere. It doesn't relate to anything. The tone is completely different. Everything is wrong.
And also, the movie is very, it's very uneven how it approaches the main character, because I don't believe it's trying to say whether or not that the actions that are being taken are bad or good or whatever it might happen to be. It's like, yo, I'm just who I am. You know, this is what was always going to happen kind of deal.
If
like,
you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best.
I really fucking hate that quote, and all the people who used it can shove a fucking chode up your ass. I hate you pretentious cunts. Alright, back to the movie.
See, this is what we were doing in the movie.
Yeah.
We were so bored at some of the scenes because they kept on saying the same fucking things like 5 times in a row to really drive home, like, this is what is happening.
We get it.
But as soon as they said it the first time, we're like, okay, we get it. And then they kept going, and we're just like, hey, let's crack a joke about this. And then we just keep going on our own bit, which is so much more entertaining than this.
And the thing is, though, so many of these scenes where these people are divulging their life stories to each other, it would have had any weight, if we actually knew these characters a little bit before then, or we're going to hang out with them a little bit after the fact, but they are just going to die in the very next part of the scene. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons why the movie Maniac actually ended up working. It was a movie from 1980, and I'm looking at it. It's from William Lustig. And the thing is, though, with Joe Spinell and Carolyn Monroe's characters, I believe it's Carolyn Monroe, don't quote me on this, it's been a long time since I've seen that film, is the fact that when he's killing people, and he's killing them to skin their hairs to put on mannequins, that is a very specific goal.
Yeah, just a bit.
You know, this guy has a specific goal. He's trying to find someone who fits his perfect ideal. Okay, I get it.
Didn't work out for him.
The thing is, though, with the two main characters in Maniac, they build this relationship over time where it's the only positive thing in his life. And there's a push back and forth about who he is and what type of nature that he has and all that jazz. And that is an exploitation movie from the 80s. It is the least subtle thing in the world. And also the song, "Oh, Hungry Like the Wolf," you know what, that was originally made for that movie.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. She's a maniac. Oh, no, sorry, Maniac. Sorry, wow. I messed up.
You're done talking now.
All the 80s music sound the same to me.
All right.
You know? Sorry, Maniac on the Floor. Sorry, that was eventually used in Flashdance. Yeah. That was originally meant for that one. Which does not match at all either.
Anyway.
It's okay. It's okay. You'll get over it. You'll get the fuck over it.
Hold him to this, audience.
I dare you. If you've watched this far through this episode, I hope you do.
So in
other words, though, it was a relationship that actually strung through the movie while the other atrocities are going on, and that conflict back and forth with him trying to be good by her is one of the main conflicts of the second half of Maniac. They tried to do the same thing with here at the last third, and they kind of all smushed it into like the last 10 minutes, and then it ended up not doing anything at all.
See, there's
no catharsis.
Well, I disagree on that point. I think that, while yes, it didn't matter as much because they met after the big thing of like, oh, the man who's hunting him is dead.
Oh, that's
like,
fine.
It's whatever.
But it's a different movie.
Hold on. Let me fucking say my bit then.
Sorry.
The thing of the girl being introduced, you could tell at that point that there was something different about her. Because, like, all the other girls were just kind of, I guess you would say almost promiscuous in a way, like in the way that they approached him.
Yeah.
At least the ones who were
They
killed.
approached him like a one-night stand.
There was a woman who was running a stand, or not a stand, a gas station thing, and he lays down 100 and she can't break 100, so then he's starting to like really get like, how dare you, whatever. But it wasn't ever romantic, it just seemed like he wanted to kill her for no good reason.
Yeah, I can see that.
But then she reveals that she has a kid, a little baby, right behind the counter with her, and that's enough to drive him away. So it's like, where the fuck are your morals here? But it was always different for the final girl, the one that he stayed with, Roxy, because as soon as she's introduced, you kind of get this feeling that, like, he's not going to kill her. Like, all the other ones you can immediately see, like, you're not going to live, you're not going to live, you're not going to live. But as soon as Roxy's introduced, because it's set up differently, where she's just crying outside the motel door, he comes out, he comforts her, and then, like, there's a moment where she's wearing a wig.
Yeah.
And says...
Like a really neon blonde wig.
And he's saying how, like, yeah, I really like, your hair, it reminds me of mom or ex-wife or whatever. And she's like, oh, this thing? And she takes it off. And it's like, I just wear that because customers tend to like blondes more than...
And he's just looking at his face, he's like...
And he's just like, oh. And it was like, you blew it, you lied. You lied, and that's the one thing
You're
don't
going to die.
But...
Not so much.
Then when it came to that part where it's like, where he obviously would have done it, he didn't. And he's just like, hey, so I want to help you get your money back. So it's...
Because...
You can just tell that this girl is different somehow, which is kind of what...
She's genuine.
She's genuine. She's not trying to... And even then she lied again, saying that she was a dancer when instead she was a call girl.
And he's just like, I already knew.
He's like, whatever.
I'm like, oh, it works for them, but you're a piece of shit anyway, and I don't want to see you happy.
It's the end of the movie. First off, I don't like this character at all, so like, I don't care if he's happy.
He's not even a character that you like to hate.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a character, like, just get the fuck off the screen.
But at the end, when it's like, they're finally, like, committing to the marriage thing, and then he goes back and he's like, oh, but I can't fight the inner demon in me. It reminds me a lot of Dexter.
Dexter, yeah.
It reminds me of, like, he wants to do good, but he has this dark passenger, and he can't fight against it.
Well, it's all...
And then it's Rusined in season 7.
It reminds me a lot, well, it's because I'm obviously going through it because y'all people wanted it. I'm going through Monster right now, and that is the whole thing of the show is just like who you are on the outside and the monster underneath.
Yeah. That was a line from Suge White. Was just like, yeah, I like your suit. Yeah, white on the outside,
but I'm black underneath. So look, ask anybody in here. I'm the blackest guy in here, and then these two black guys are like, "Yo, man, yeah, you right,
motherfucker,
yeah, you a black motherfucker,
motherfucker."
God, so many motherfuckers.
Jesus Christ,
it's probably more than all in Sam. Seriously.
So the overall ending with this movie, though, is probably what really it wasn't satisfying.
Nothing about it was satisfying.
Like, I almost think that I would have been more okay with just an ambiguous ending, where they get married, they're going to the hotel room or whatever.
Just shuts the door.
He just shuts the door with like a smile on his face or something. That would have been okay.
Like a fourth wall break or something like that.
I would have been okay with that. But instead what they did was they show him struggling in the door frame, pulling out his knife, closing the door, which again, you could have cut there, but instead then they show him driving in the car
and you hear
the voiceover of her being killed. And it's like...
And then at the end he smiles at that, and then it cuts to black.
It's like, no,
why?
You ruined that. That just makes this character irredeemable, not just in the fact of, like, what we saw over the course. It's like, no, people never change. That was the point. But the good acts that we saw him do are just completely wiped out now. It's like, oh yeah, he did care about this woman, but not enough to not kill her, which I feel like is a little bit.
And why would you marry her in the first place if you were going to kill her anyway?
Especially because they had a whole conversation before that about why he's not okay with marrying her.
Yeah.
How he's like,
he was trying to tell her, like, yo, no. This,
But then they just immediately cut to the wedding scene. I was like, well, I guess that meant nothing. And then the wedding scene cuts out.
Elvis.
And she gets killed. It's like, well, I guess the wedding meant nothing. So.
And also, you're now listed in a state database that you got married. Like, yo, guys.
And that's the other thing with this character, was that with every girl, he gave a fake name and kind of like a fake backstory to it. He always gave a different sort of story for her, which always made me wonder, like, okay, with this new girl, he gave his name, it was Dwayne, which was what the subtitles called him, but in the credits he's just called the Lady Killer.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Dwayne's his real name, but then he gives all this story about, like, how his parents died and, like, how he accidentally killed his mother and how, his ex-wife or whatever, and he got revenge or whatever the fuck happened. But I had no investment in that because how was I supposed to know whether that was another true or fake story?
I mean, that's the problem with the whole movie, really. I mean, it's not actually even a problem. Like, the whole thing could have been, like, it goes back to the whole Joker thing. It's like, my father, was a drinker, or, my wife, You know, it's like the, you know, bet deep and getting deep with the sharks, all that kind of stuff. It's like, you know, you don't know what could happen, and you could have that strung along, because that actually is very much in the way of what a noir is like. Is that, actually, it would be more like 1970s giallo Italian movies, because, like, everybody in those movies are suspects.
Yeah.
This one, kind of, I would think a little bit cross between the two, because it's like, the main character constantly talks to these people. They seem good up to a certain point, and then the moment that it happened, both of us knew. It's just like, well, there's another thing. Like, there's one thing that somehow they were just all of a sudden, oh, and there's this one thing that's going to fuck me over and kill me tonight. And it followed that routine at least 4 times.
There was the first girl, country girl. There was the movie actress one. There was one other one. Why am I forgetting?
No, I think there was 4 total.
I think
because there was one at the very beginning. Then there was the second one where you saw, you know, the murder in the actual house.
Oh, I forgot about her. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, so, and then there was another one after that.
Yep, and then Roxy.
Yep. It was like, so, yeah, so there was 4. And that's hard. So much of this is hard to remember because it's so goddamn bland.
And that's if you don't include, like, the people that he didn't try to have a romantic thing with that just pissed him off.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's the gas station clerk, there's the dude who abused the kid.
The gas station clerk also apparently was in Twin Peaks.
Good on her. Step down, though. So...
Well, Twin Peaks after this.
Oh,
so she stepped up. Hope you keep getting work. But the... And it goes back again, like, I don't think the cast is bad.
No.
I don't think that the people are actually even badly cast. I think that if you had a different script, that you would have been able to get a better performance out of it, but also at the same time, though, the director, what's his name again?
Jeff
Farrell.
Yes.
Mr. Jeff Farrell, I'm talking directly to you, sir.
Hello, Jeff.
Jeff, I gotta say that you should hire someone else to write your scripts.
Oof.
And honestly, I'm speaking from my own experience too. I know where my shortcomings as a filmmaker are. And you know, and you surround yourself with people who are better at those things because you end up making a better product overall. A lot of the people involved with this, it was very well shot. The color grading was really interesting. Even though, again, like, it's ripping off of Drive, but that's okay. You can rip off of a movie and have me still enjoy it. That happens all the time with Asylum. Now, of course, they're trying to be purposely bad, but overall, my whole shtick is the fact that you're so intent on getting the story in the can that you forget how to tell it.
Well, a lot of the problem with me in the way of the
Where's your personal imprint?
A lot of the way that they tell the story is through exposition and the people's backstories. They're not telling me what these people are doing. They're telling me what these people did.
They're doing the whole tell, don't show deal.
They're saying, oh, I went to college for this...
And they're going to die, so it doesn't matter at all.
And
these scenes go on way too long.
I was slightly more interested when Roxy was getting her stuff after I saw that she wasn't going to die. Yeah. And even then, we cared about... the lady killer's backstory about how he cut his dad's brake lines and his mom was in the car. We thought, no, that's an okay backstory. Yeah. But that was only after there was a change to the way things were.
The plot moved forward.
Yeah, as soon as we were past the 3rd time, that was just like, hey, you're pretty cute. Yeah, but I have this one flaw. Welp.
Well, and then we should have cut out, either you should have stuck with the story of revenge with the brother, or you should have stuck to the redemption tale with Roxy.
Or you could do both.
You could have done both.
The whole thing.
Yeah, you should have, Roxy should have been, the person that you keep coming back to that you didn't originally intend for, and then eventually it works into a point where she is the person that you want. You can make the story a lot more involved, and you have all of the building blocks that you need for it. It's just kind of just shuffling up stuff a little bit more to make things kind of weave together a little bit more seamlessly.
Yeah, and that's like we were saying before. Technically, it's
I
more
wanted to like it actually.
Yeah.
After a while, I'm like, you have things that I wish that I do like normally.
You were a collection of decent moments surrounded by crap, and that's
like crab cake stuff.
I'll give final thoughts on my side.
Yeah.
The final thoughts for me is that it's not the worst thing we've ever seen. Clearly, but
that's never good.
No, it isn't. But it's like we were saying, Matt was the one who chose this movie, and we spent fuck knows how long in the comedy section because he wanted to find a movie that wasn't just boring. We wanted to find something that would be at least actively terrible or entertaining at the least. And we ended up getting boring. We ended up getting something that was, and we had to inject our own humor. I think that it works well in the fact that it repeats stuff so frequently, and in the fact that a lot of the stuff is so predictable, and that you're able to crack jokes with friends and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it was good to just sit around and crack jokes about the movie, but in the terms of actually sitting and watching it on your own and trying to enjoy it as its own story, the best review was the one that was on top of IMDb, which was, it felt like I watched a 2-hour porno with no sex. It's perfectly apt to what it is. So
my whole thing is that, yeah, there's nothing wrong, actually, with the generic plotline. I have no problem with things being formulaic if it's entertaining, if it's involving in some way or another. Some of my favorite noirs from the actual age of film noir are the most generic fucking stories in the world. Yeah. And they follow all the regular tropes and all that jazz, and yet they're still highly enjoyable because of the way that they're done. So the problem is with this movie, as self-fulfilling prophecy, the fact that I was trying to find an entertaining film. I mean, was it The Girl Is in Trouble at least was entertaining, even though it was just kind of all over the goddamn place. So, you know, it's not a problem to be generic or to retread old themes if you do it in ways that are more unique to yourself, I suppose. This movie tried to be so many other films that it doesn't have a central identity of itself. It has a major identity crisis. And because of that, there's not a consistent tone, a consistent pacing, or a consistent through line for the entire movie. So the problem what you have here is that you have a mass of parts far greater than its sum. And overall, the movie is just kind of like a lost opportunity and anything else. You had every building block that you needed to in order to make this movie at least an enjoyable neo-noir, and it kind of ended up just being slotted together in a very mishmashed hodgepodge sort of way. So, overall, eh.
And is what we will leave Dead West on.
Yes. But there's only one real way that we can end this type of review, David.
What's that?
A knife fight.
Okay, well, what's the soundtrack to our knife fight?
Hans Zimmer.
Okay, I'm in.
Alright.
Let's do it.
By contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.